faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell Team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
Have you ever heard someone say, it's all in your head? I mean, the problem isn't really what you think it is, it's just all in your head. Those people that you feel like are out to get you, those opportunities that seem to slip through your fingers, the weather, your health, your relationships, it's all in your head. It's all in your head. Well, they're right. It's true. It's all in your head. That's what we're going to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I've had those moments when I realized that my life wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, and I had to take full responsibility for what it was, and even the gap between what it was and what I wanted it to be, sometimes really off kilter. And I realized that leadership is a mind game. I remember dating relationships in high school and the mind games that guys and gals would play with each other, manipulating the relationship, making somebody else jealous on purpose, not responding to a love note left in the locker until the end of the day, just to put a little pressure on and make them feel like, well, you need to know I have other options. Mind games. Lots and lots of mind games. But those are not the kind of mind games that I'm talking about. The kind of mind game I'm talking about is the kind of game that says, I realize that 90% of what happens in my life happens between my ears. Everything else is a manifestation of that. And by that I mean, what happens between my ears determines how much work I get done. It determines how much vacation time I take. It determines how much procrastination that happens in my life. It determines the quality of the relationships that I have. What happens between my ears, just like what happens between your ears, will determine a lot in your life. See, there are a lot of people who think, well, my boss is just a terrible person, and if I were to lose my job, it would be really hard for me to get another job. I don't know if your boss is a terrible person or not, but I can tell you this for a fact. If you're the right kind of person, if what's going on between your ears is good, your boss is irrelevant. Because just like a superstar football player, baseball player, basketball player, if you're doing your part well, if you're doing your part at the top of your game, it doesn't matter what your boss does. Another team is going to be looking for you to join them. If you're pulling down the sales numbers that you're supposed to be pulling down, number one, your boss probably isn't going to have a problem with you. They're very happy about your numbers. If you're pulling down the numbers and you got a great attitude and you're a good influence on the people around you, all of those things are a result of what's going on in your head. And if that's the case, then your boss probably doesn't have much negative to say to you or about you. And even if your boss is a jerk, chances are they're going to protect your presence because you're pulling down the numbers, you're a good influence on the people around you, and you have a good attitude. When those things are not true, when you're not getting the results that you're supposed to get, when you're not a good influence on the people around you, when you possess a bad attitude, that's when trouble with your boss and your peers and your subordinates gets out of hand. It's always a result of, you guessed it, your mind game. And if you don't have your own mind game tight, then all the other efforts of the team around you are going to be pointless and probably fruitless. Now, this is even magnified more when you're the leader. Why? Because people do what people see. And if they see you with a bad attitude, it's contagious. All right, in my project called The Attitude Hack, I'm thoroughly convinced there is nothing on earth, not even a common cold, more contagious than a bad attitude. As the leader, your attitude is part of your mind game. Your attitude is all about the stories you're telling yourself inside your head. Story power leads to attitude. Attitude is a leadership tool. Attitude is contagious. You'll either tell a good story and build a better company, a better organization, a better team, or you'll tell a bad story about yourself, about others, about your clients, about your teammates, about your boss. And that negative story, that negative attitude will reap destruction. Happens every time. It's the confidence that has to be built in you. That's the mind game. The ability to look in the mirror, knowing that you failed, knowing that you've made mistakes, knowing that you're human. When you can look in the mirror, knowing all of that to be true and still say, I like me. I believe in me. I have hope for a positive future for me. When you can do those things, you can win. But if you allow the negativity that creeps up in all of us, I don't know any human who has never battled negative thoughts. Some conquer them faster than others, and some live in them most of their life. You might know that as drama, as a negative Nelly, somebody who, no matter what happens, they could win the lottery and they would still have a complaint about it. Well, now I got to pay all these taxes. Well, yes, congratulations. You're in a tax bracket that requires that you pay taxes. Maybe for the first time in your life, you have access to the kind of resources you've always dreamed about. But rather than having a positive response to all of those resources, you have a negative response that now you have to pay taxes. See, that's mind game. That's what's going on in your head. That's what's going to cause the problem. But it's also the mind game, the leadership mind game, that allows you to solve those problems. It's what allows you to win even when everything else goes negative. Your boss walks out on you, the economy takes a downturn, your company files for bankruptcy, you lose your job, you have to start over somewhere, you lose everything and have to start over. Been there, done that. Every time that happens, though, you can either take the negative role and the negative view of life and let that mind game creep up inside you and destroy you, or you can realize it's a mind game, and because it is a mind game, I have the power to win. I get to decide what my future is going to be. I get to decide what's next. Now, I'm reminded of this on a regular basis because it's something that I teach on a regular basis. It comes across my lips on a regular basis that leadership is a mind game, and it's all about attitude. And if your attitude is wrong, nothing else matters. If your attitude is right, nothing else matters. With the right attitude, you can charge through just about anything that doesn't kill you. But with the wrong attitude, the best things in life will be destroyed and corrupted. That's just true stuff. But see, I'm not the first one to come up with that. In fact, I've got a book over here on my shelf by James Allen from many, many years ago. The book's close to 100 years old, if not more. And in that book, James Allen says, as a man thinks in his head, in his mind, that's who he's going to be. As a man thinketh is the name of the book. Think and Grow Rich. Another book, over 100 years old. Guess what it says? What's going on in your head? Think and grow rich. You got to think right before any of that stuff works right. You've got to tell yourself on a regular basis because, believe it or not, you're listening. You're listening to the negative things that you say about yourself. You're listening to the positive things that you say about yourself. And you're probably believing each of them equally. Now the question is, which one do you tell yourself more often? The positive or the negative? That's entirely up to you. In my first book, Live a More Excellent Life, there's actually a mantra in the back for people to begin to quote, to talk about how well they see themselves. Why? Well, because I realized over 10 years ago, I had not been very good at that. I ran across another one today. I've had this for a while. Let's see when this book was published. This is Zig Ziglar, Over the Top. This book, I think, was published in the late 70s, maybe early 80s. Published by Thomas Nelson. And this copy, 1994. Originally 1992. So 94 was the last print of the particular one that I have in my hand. He says on page 27 in a really fat book. So early on in the book, he addresses the same issue. And he says, action step. Take a 3x5 card and start to develop the day before vacation approach to life by printing or typing these words on it. Leadership is a mind game. Those are my words. Here's Zig Ziglar's words. I, write in your name, am an honest, intelligent, responsible, organized, goal-setting, committed individual whose principles are firmly in place. I am focused, disciplined, enthusiastic, positive thinking, decisive extra miler, who is a competent, energized, self-starting team player determined to develop and use all these leadership qualities in my personal, family, and business life. These are the qualities of the winner I was born to be. Leadership is a mind game. It's absolutely a mind game. And if you can't decide early on who you are, who you want to be, and how you're going to get there, start with something like that. I'm honest. Now, I can tell you, when you write something like that the first time, you're going to feel like a fraud. Yeah. Some people call it the imposter syndrome. It's what happens when you're projecting yourself into a better future. When you're talking about the who that you are and want to be at your deepest core, but maybe it doesn't reflect just yet in your history. You look back to 3 weeks ago and you know you lied about that project. You said it was brought in on time, but it was actually a little late. You said it was brought in under budget, but it was actually a little over budget. You claimed that you had made the number of calls, dials, or direct mail sends that you were supposed to, but you really hadn't. You were fudging just a little bit, making up just a little bit of space with deception. And because of that, you look at yourself and you go, okay, well, I'm saying that I'm honest, but I know I'm not always honest. Let me tell you something. That is called self-reflection. It's a part of the law of awareness. And the minute you say, I am honest, here's what's going to happen. Every moment in the last X number of days that you've been dishonest is going to come up in your head. Leadership is a mind game. When that stuff starts coming up in your head, the first thing that's going to happen is something in you is going to go, you're not honest. You're a liar. You lied about this, and you lied about this, and you lied about this, and you're lying now. Let me tell you what else happens when that happens. In your mind, you begin to make yourself more accountable. Now that you've made the declaration, I am an honest person, something in your subconscious mind will trigger you every time the opportunity to be dishonest comes up. Leadership is a mind game. You'll either accept that challenge to yourself by saying, I am an honest person, and I don't want to be deceptive about this. And I will face the consequences of having missed the target or not done what I was supposed to. But next time I will make sure that I do meet the expectations rather than have to lie about them. Because I am an honest person. Every time you face that challenge about being honest, about being decisive, about being committed, about being loyal, the reticular activating system in your brain is being rewired to recognize you in a positive state. Not only to recall where you've missed the mark before, but to recall the direction you're headed in. Leadership is a mind game. You've got to get the mind game right. You've got to set those targets for yourself. This list by Zig Ziglar is a great place to start. This is a great list of attributes that every leader should have. This is the winning game in the mind game. Set these things as your own standards. Find yourself as you miss the mark on them a little bit, holding yourself accountable, going, okay, I had a chance to be honest and I failed at that one. I won't do that again. If you find that you constantly are dishonest when the opportunity to be honest is there, that might be a character flaw. You might need some help with that. Maybe it's time to get a coach or a therapist. But if you recognize those times that you had a chance to be honest, you had a chance to be decisive, you had a chance to be loyal and committed, and you failed, as you recognize them, you're becoming a better person. As you choose to take action and not fall into the trap again, you're absolutely becoming a better person. And let me tell you something, when you're the kind of person who is honest, who is loyal, who is committed, who is decisive, you don't have to worry about what your boss does. They're not going to want to get rid of you. You're not going to have to worry about what your spouse does. They're not going to want to get rid of you. You're not going to have to worry about the economic downturn or the bankruptcy of your company, because your opportunities will only continue to grow when you're that kind of person. Leadership is a mind game. Get your mind right, and you'll win the game. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.
Thank you.